Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be showing you what effects you can get when playing with alcohol ink and liquid clay. So this is the effect that you will get. Now this tutorial is actually prompted because a lot of you have been asking questions in relation to this tutorial where I used coloured liquid clay and white liquid clay to create this kind of faux lampwork effect. And a lot of you are asking if you could replace the coloured liquid clay with alcohol ink. Now you can, but it's going to create a very different effect, and that's what I wanted to showcase in this tutorial. So I'm going to show you how to create a veneer first, which is what you typically need to do. You can put it into a bezel, but typically I don't like the effect. As you can see here, it kind of is pale. It kind of you can see that we get some blurring on the edges, and it's just in general it's not the most pleasant effect. And so generally, if you're going to go for this really nice swirly effect, I would highly recommend using coloured liquid clays. Now if you have alcohol ink and don't have coloured liquid clays, generally it's better to go with this sort of effect. And so the way you do that is you will grab some white liquid clay, and I'm using Kato today. It's the one that I typically use for this technique. You can try other brands, but I don't think they create that really nice crackled effect, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, and I'm just working on a ceramic tile. And a ceramic or a glass tile will work as well, but you just want a tile that can go into the oven, or it can just handle general heat. And once you've got a nice amount of white liquid clay onto your surface, you will then brush that together like so that it levels out, and you want it to be about 0.5 millimeter thick. Okay, then you want to choose the colour of alcohol ink that you're going to be working with. And what I'm going to be working with is the Adirondack alcohol ink line, and I'm using Crimson and Botanical. Open them away from your workstation, because dry alcohol ink will accumulate around the edge of the alcohol ink bottle, and you don't want that getting onto your piece. Right, so now I'm going to start with green, and I just typically start with green, and I'm just going to dot it onto the surface like so. Okay, then I'm going to start red, which is the more dominant colour, which is why I left it until last. Okay, and there we go. And you can see you have to work fairly quickly because you get these really large dots. Now if you want to have smaller dots, I would recommend grabbing a rubber tool. So let me just grab that quickly. There we go. And now the thing is, if you have a look at this veneer over here, because the red is the more dominant colour, you can put it on top of the green, but the green is just going to create this kind of muddy effect on top of the red. So you can just keep that in mind when you're working with colours. If you want, you could have a little bit of white liquid clay over here, and you could test out how the colours work on top of each other if you didn't want to do that in the moment. But typically warmer colours tend to overtake the cooler colours. Okay. And I'm just adding a little bit of red to the top like so. Now with this one, I did kind of like the yellowy effect, and it's a really large block of red with very little interest. So I'm going to take some green, I'm going to add it in, and I might add a little bit more to try and really bolster that colour to try and get the green effect across. I'll do that with this one too. There we go. But I'm not going to do too much of that. Now you do want to leave some areas of white, because when you cut this out, you just want to have some areas of white left over. Now you want to leave this for a little while. You can see that it starts to crack very quickly, and I really do quite like the effect of the cracks. And this is why I was saying that alcohol ink is quite different from coloured liquid clay, because when it interacts with the liquid clay, it crackles, which is a really nice effect. Now, if you've put this onto a ceramic tile that fits inside your oven, pop it into the oven for a full hour, from about 40 minutes to a full hour at Kato's recommended temperature. If you don't have it on a tile that fits in the oven, then use a heat gun to set it. I'm going to put this in the oven though. Okay, and now you can see that there's been a bit of a colour shift. The green has gone a bit more yellow, so that's to expect. And you can see also that we have had more cells break out while it was baking, which is really nice. Now I'm going to lift this up. And it can be a little tricky because it can be sticky, and so sometimes you can just pull it up with your blade like so. Okay, now because it was thin over here, it split. That's fine. Put that to the side somewhere where it can cool properly, and then clean up your tile. Okay, so I've got a piece of black here rolled out on my thickest setting, which is about 1/2 centimetre thick. And then I'm just going to burnish it. I put on a piece of plain printing paper, and I'm going to burnish the top also with a piece of plain printing paper, and this will just remove any roller lines or marks that the pasta machine might have left. Okay, just checking, a few more lines there that need to get burnished out. There we go. Alright. So then the next step is just going to be to put this to the side. We will worry about that in a little while. And I'm going to be working with my extra large pebble earring cutters, just to let you know. And so we're going to take this, and I want you to lay this down onto your tile and stick that down nicely. You could even take a piece of paper and burnish, just to make sure that it's stuck onto your ceramic tile properly. Glass will also work. Then take your, if I can get this right, here we are. Take your cutters, like so, and what I want you to do is either you can place it down onto your clay like so, and you can trace around the inside with a pen, or if you happen to have ink pads, dip these on ink pads, and any black ink should work. Just dab the outside with the cutter like this. Then find a spot that you like, and then press down firmly on the cutter so that you make an outline with your ink. Put that cutter to the side because we're making earrings, and repeat. Okay, then take your blade, lift it up, and what I will typically do, just to make it easier for myself so that I don't have to deal with this huge floppy piece of plastic, is I will cut it down the middle. And now a good place to rest this while you're not cutting it is on a piece of paper, because it doesn't stick to that, just to let you know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut directly on that line of ink. And you'll repeat this for the other one. And because the clay is pretty thin, you should be able to cut it very easily with scissors. And these are not particularly sharp scissors, they're just general craft scissors. You don't need something super fancy to do this. And just continue doing that until you've cut out your shape. Okay, and so here are our two pieces. And now what I want to do is I just want to clean up this alcohol line. So I'm just going to take a quick rag and some isopropyl alcohol, just spray. And wipe. and that will clean up that line quite nicely. Okay, and you might need to spray once more, just clean up a little bit more. There we go. Okay, and just repeat with the other one. Okay, so now let's move on to adding them to our black clay. So just pop them down like so, and then take a piece of paper and just roll and burnish and do everything you can to embed that piece of liquid clay into your black polymer clay. Okay, so that it is nice and flat inside. And then smooth your clay, black clay that is, towards your liquid clay, so that you smooth off the seam that will be left. Okay. Repeat with the other one. And then we're going to take our cutters, and I want you to turn it onto its side, like so. So you're going to have to swap cutters, and find roughly the middle, and I'm actually thinking I'm going to do this one. Roughly find the middle, place that down onto the cutter, onto your clay, and then take your blade. And now the trick here is to move the paper, not the blade. So put the blade down straight and then begin to move the paper to cut. And this is going to give us the cleanest cut. I'm just going to trace around once or twice. To make sure I got it. Now if this doesn't work, you can always lift it up and re-burnish. Okay, now let me just cut that out of the way. Now trimming is always more messy than using a cutter, but when we want a border to fit something, we generally are going to have to trim it like so. I'm just going to cut straight down here so you can move that out of the way. Okay. And then just take your cutter and just trim to get rid of any excess and to just generally clean up the area. Then I like to take my finger and I will smooth around that edge because we're going to have some knobbly bits. Just to smooth it out and make it into something that I'm happy with. And then everything I've done with this one, you repeat with that one over there. Okay. And now you can either leave it the way it is, pop it in the oven, and we can put resin on it later. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to just texture this border with a ball tool. And this is going to distort the border a little bit, but it will create a little bit of interest to it. And I'll just do that for the entirety of the border. Now I'm busy deciding whether I like that, or let's see if I can get, here we are, or if I like that more. Let's see. I think I like the style where it's a little bit more understated. But anyway, just carry on doing that across the entirety of your border, and then of course smooth later on just to smooth out any distortion, and then we can put it into the oven. Okay, and here they are out of the oven, and so you can see how that little dimpled border really makes quite a difference. So now I want to apply resin to the liquid clay part, and I want to try and make it only on the liquid clay part, but if it doesn't stay on the liquid clay part, then I'm going to be brushing it onto the black as well. But I do want to try to get it only on the liquid clay. So we'll see how we go with that. I'm going to put some of this UV resin onto the tile, and I've got a nice small brush here. Just going to brush that on very carefully. And then after I have applied this resin, I will put it into the UV light for about 15 minutes. And then once it's cured, I want to apply Renaissance wax to the black. However, I am still undecided as to whether I want to apply resin to the black. I want to see how it looks first with the resin just on the liquid clay, and then we'll see how we go from there. Okay, so after testing it out, and you can see here I haven't cured it yet, but I just want to show you, I've decided that I would like a little bit of resin on the black. Now I have a very kind of dry brush, I guess is the correct way to put it, so that we still keep a lot of the texture from the on the black, because if you put too much resin on, you lose a lot of that textured effect. So you want a very dry brush. You almost want to use it like a varnish rather than a nice thick coat of resin. Whereas the glossy bit, the liquid clay part, I have a pretty thick layer of resin on there. So you can just dip your brush in there and then scrape it across, like so. Okay, and I will repeat this for the other one, and then I will cure it for like 15 minutes in the UV light. Okay, so I'm just taking them out the UV light now, and here is how they look. So I'm quite happy with that, and you can see from the side here, hopefully, that I managed to get a dome, or like a semi-dome, on the liquid clay part, and then a very light coat of resin on the outside. Let's see if this one has a dome as well. You can feel it is a very light dome, and that just emphasizes the middle. So now that we're done with that, we need to drill the tops of our pieces, and you can see here the backs look fine because they were burnished on a piece of paper. They have a nice smooth back. I'm just going to take this pin drill, push drill actually. You can take a pin drill as well, which is one that you twist by hand, and just drill a hole at the top of your piece, and just spin that through. Okay, now the techniques that I've shown you can be used for other liquid clay sheets. So for instance, if you wanted to take the techniques that I showed in the previous video, let me just bring it over, where I showed you how to create this, and you did a veneer like that, because you can do that on the tile. You could use the same technique that I'm showing here to create these sorts of earrings. So just using the technique shown to apply a already baked sheet of liquid clay to the polymer clay can be used with just about any veneer you want. Okay, so there we go, there's our two holes. Now we need two jump rings, this one's back inside. And then of course 2 ear wires. So just grab that. Yep. And there's some pliers. And this next bit's very simple and easy. So you'll just open up your jump ring, pop it onto your piece, and then your ear wire, you need to twist this loop around more often than not. Like so. And then you can attach that to your piece. Okay, and then repeat that with the other one. Okay, and there we go. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please do let me know in the comments below, and if you have questions, also leave them down in the comments. And if you would like to support this channel, please do consider becoming a patron. I'll provide a link to that in the description below, as that really does help keep this channel going, so that I can post videos every single week. And so I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.